Madonna said here, Joe Neary, get into the groove. Why are we going to do that in the preseason? Most starters sit out. There's no need to get into a groove. Get into the groove week number one. You know, it hasn't worked for the past couple years getting into a groove in week number one? The Cincinnati Bengals. They're terrible out of the gate. So Zac Taylor, their head coach, says yesterday, and pretty much we've been hearing this for this week, an Ian Rappaport tweet confirms this. Bengals coach Zac Taylor tells reporters that Joe Burrow and other big-name players will play several series on Thursday night and more in game two against the Commanders. New way of doing it with eyes on starting fast. This makes sense. Understand this, Joe. We know that you don't want to get stars injured in the preseason. You can get hurt at any time. You say, man, I sent Joe Burrow out there in week 2 of the preseason, snap number 3, he went down with an ACL. That's terrible news. You never want that to happen. But there also is something to this. Preparing for a season and getting ready. Anybody that's ever played any sports, you can have all the scrimmages you want. You can have all the, intricacies in the offseason. But once you get to game number 1, if you're not used to game tempo, you're going to be winded. You're not going to be ready. And hey, wait a second. I took 5 snaps in the preseason. Game number 1, Joe, I'm playing 80 snaps in the 85-degree temperatures in September. It doesn't work out. I like this approach from the Bengals. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I like it too, but from a betting perspective, it means absolutely nothing. Zac Taylor is 3-12 straight up and 0-5 straight up over the last 2 years in the preseason here. It's great that you're going to give the starters, some reps early on, but the reality is, from a betting perspective, Donnie, those guys aren't going to have any impact on who wins or covers the game when it's all said and done. It's who comes in after that, especially in the second half, where games are going to be decided and bet and tickets are going to be cashed. So I think it's good, but you're still just 3-12 straight up and 0-5 over the last 2 years, Zac Taylor. Ultimately, the second halves mean absolutely nothing to the Cincinnati Bengals.
I mean, you don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball. Now, granted, we added 16 games to 17 because the statistics, Joe, always were. You go 0-2, everybody's getting fired because you are not making the playoffs. Now, with the 17th game, it's a little bit more leeway. But nobody likes, the pressure in the building. Do you know what's fantastic? Opening up 3-0. It's like, whoa, what a season. This could be our year. You open up 0-2, you don't even want to go to work on that Monday showing up because of how much pressure is in that building. The owner is always going to make his money. The general manager, the front office, the starting quarterback, the running back, the guys that want to make more money. You are on the chopping block immediately because once you go 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, the season is already over. I don't care that you have 17, 18 weeks to try to make it up at this point. So I like this approach saying, boy, if we can just go 1-1 out of the gate, as opposed to what we've been doing, that would seem like a miracle. Now, also, they're going to play Thursday in Philadelphia. Is there going to be a referendum that they need to beat the Eagles 17-0 in the first quarter because Joe Burrow and the starters are out there? No, it just means preparing for the game, going through your normal mental workout before you even take the field, taking a couple snaps, being in the huddle with the boys during a normal game, running a couple plays, a couple out passes, a couple deep shots here. Just get those vibes going for the regular season as opposed to, oh, wait, opening day is here. Well, I'm not used to this. We haven't done this since last year. They're all dress rehearsals, Joe. Just use them. You see the stat that we just posted up there. The worst starting team, it feels like, in the NFL is the Bengals. There's no excuse for that.
Well, and listen, the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same things and expect a different outcome. You're not playing anybody in the preseason. Your record indicates that you don't care about these quote unquote meaningless games. And yet look at those starts. On the flip side, there's 2 other teams in that division, Donnie, that, you know what? They take the preseason seriously.
Yes.
One guy's named John Harbaugh, who's 45-16 straight up in the preseason. The other guy is Mike Tomlin, who's 40-27 in the preseason. Yes. And they always seem to start the season off well and finish it well. And I don't hear their seasons being ruined because they don't care about meaningless football. It makes no sense to me. Do what other successful teams do. It's not that hard to figure out.
No, it's not. And you're not asking them to throw 50 times in a preseason game. You're just asking them to say, okay, put the starters out there and understand this as well. Injuries happen in the NFL. Nobody wants it in the preseason game. Nobody wants it in week number 4. Nobody wants it in week 17. We understand that. But you certainly have to prepare for the regular season to be on point in the regular season. We understand, Joe. They work out all season long. This isn't the 1960s, but you still need those game reps here and those mental reps before the season starts. Maybe things change for the Bengals and things are on the up and up, but I like this move by Coach Zac Taylor. Buy or sell, people. Some of our favorite segments here in the NFL. We're going to do that next, right here on the early line. Joe and here, let's get the hard topics out of the way. I'm going to ask you a quiz question to see if you're updated on your NFL knowledge and if you're up to maybe a couple buy or sell questions. So I'm going to ask you this. Can you name the 4 teams in the NFC South? We'll start there. Make it easy. What are those teams?
All right. The NFC South, I would believe, and they are all terrible in a whole lot of different ways here. So we're talking about the Falcons. We're talking about the New Orleans Saints. We're talking about Carolina, and we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Is that about right?
That is right. And that's why I wanted to ask you that question first, because when you say the teams, okay, the NFC South, it's a division, it's going to be tough to win. But I wanted us to say the teams out loud. Let's remove Tampa Bay. We're going to talk about them in a second. The Falcons, scary team for you, Joe, in the NFL? Like, whoa, watch out for the Falcons?
To me, the jury is still out there because I'm not sure Penix Jr., what do you get in his sophomore year? Is it a step back? Is Kirk Cousins even going to be on the team by the time, week 3 or 4? Is he going to be traded? There's a lot of question marks with the Atlanta Falcons, and a lot of it also stems around that coaching staff.
Carolina Panthers around the NFL. Whoa, you better not play the Panthers, man. Is that a feeling around the NFL right now?
I don't think anybody has felt that in a very long time. But I can tell you this. You got to love last season when it finally felt like it started to click for Bryce Young there at the end. It was an awful start to the season, but he finished it up pretty well. That was a pretty competitive team. They are down the stretch. I give that coaching staff a lot of credit. Can you build off it is the question this year. You're in the right division to be better than you were a year ago. We'll see if they can make it happen.
And the final question, New Orleans Saints. Remember, like, you used to look at the schedule and be like, oh, no, man. Eagles got to go play the Saints in the Dome on a primetime game. You could probably chalk that up as a loss. Anybody saying they don't want to go play in the Dome? I think the rest of the NFL is like, put us every single game against the Saints in the Dome, Joe. Is that true?
Yeah. Used to be a pretty feared place to go and play, right? But it has not been that in a very, very, very long time. I truly believe it's going to be it's tankathon for the Saints this year. If you're going to throw out, Spencer Rattler as your quarterback, there you go. Enjoy yourself.
Rattler?
Yes, let me know.
Big time down there. Run Alvin Kamara into a brick wall. We'll find it out. But the question we're going to ask here on buy or sell doesn't have to really deal with those 3 teams. It really deals with the Buccaneers, but the effect is on those other 3 teams and what can happen. So if we take a look at the Buccaneers, right? 2021, 13-4. 2022, 8-9. 2023, 9-8. 2024, 10-7. You might look at that yourself and say, all right, well, one of those years, probably 2021, they won the division, but the rest of the years were pretty average. No, Joe, they won the division every single year I just told you. It shows how bad this division is. So buy or sell. The Buccaneers are just going to win another division championship this year, which will be their 5th straight.
Listen, the best of the rest, right? If it ain't broke, why fix it? And we just talked about 3 other teams in this division, Donnie, in which, they don't have the same weapons that Baker Mayfield and the Bucs do. I mean, there is another new offensive coordinator this year. Keep that in mind. That will be also Baker Mayfield's, I believe, 8th different offensive coordinator in 8 seasons, if you can believe that. But you got Mike Evans back. Godwin will be back. Jalen McMillan is back. They got a running game. They are always going to be good on the defensive side with Todd Bowles there, bringing up a lot of young guys. So, to me, this is, are they world beaters? No, I don't think anybody's picking Tampa to upend your Philadelphia Eagles anytime soon. But they are more than capable and have plenty enough talent to be able to once again sit atop that division.
No doubt about it. And you take a look again at that division. It's not so much about how good are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Joe. It's really how good is the rest of that division. But if it's not broken, right? Why are you going to fix it at this point? General manager Jason Lick, like he's thinking of a good thing. I got a Super Bowl trophy when Tom Brady was here. We keep winning divisions. That's all you can ask for. Now, granted, do you want to win more games in the playoffs? Yes. Do you want to go in deeper playoff runs? Absolutely. But you do have to give them credit for saying we're hiring the right offensive coordinators. You know, we brought in Baker Mayfield when nobody else really wanted him, and here we go. And also, what is their MO? Baker is a swashbuckler back there, quarterback. We have a decent offensive line. Every year we give him 3 legitimate wide receivers that he can use. Evans, Egbuka you draft out of Ohio State high. Godwin's coming back here from injury. Also a couple capable running backs that he's done very well and successful in drafting those guys. So the sky is the limit for me by saying, yes, they can win the division, which when you win the division, Joe, means you get a home game. Now, did that work to their advantage last year? No, it didn't. But sooner than later, the home games are going to pay off. I have really high expectations for the Buccaneers in that division. And then again, on winning a playoff round because you will be at home as long as you stay healthy. Todd Bowles, do I love him as a head coach? No. But you know what I love him as? A defensive coordinator. If they can, again, replace an offensive coordinator in Liam Cohen that left for Jacksonville, why can't we trust the Buccaneers? This should be one of the easiest buys you can have on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a division that says, well, Penix is really going to have to step up. Carolina's going to have to take a monster step forward, and we don't even know what New Orleans actually is trying to do this year with a team total of 4.5.
Well, they're trying to lay down, and they have their eyes on maybe a quarterback in the draft next season. But the schedule is also pretty favorable as well, Donnie. If you look at it, the Bucs, I believe, over the final 6 or 7 weeks of the season, I don't think they leave the state of Florida, but maybe once.
Yeah.
So they are going to end the season with a lot of home opportunities, not a whole lot of travel there. They do have the Texans, they do have the Lions, but both of those games are going to be on the road. This definitely sets up as a double-digit winning season. If that offense stays healthy, I know they're younger, they're more athletic, they're going to be better against the pass in the secondary with Todd Bowles this year. I like the chances of the Bucs winning double-digit games here.
And also double-digit wins, which, again, would mean the division championship and a chance to be at home, and how hard those schedules are right now, particularly for the NFC East. Like, you might get an 11-win Buccaneers team, and I'm being honest, a 10-win NFC East champion, which means you would get the bye week chance over the NFC East if it comes down to that. But if we do look at the odds market, let's just say to win the NFC, the Eagles are a plus 360. Detroit's a plus 550. The Niners are plus 850. The Packers are plus 900. We're still going here, Joe. The Rams, a 10-1 price. The Commanders, a 10-1 price. The Vikings, a 10. The Vikings are a 10-1 price over the Buccaneers at 13-1. I'm telling you right now, the Vikings aren't winning their division. So you're telling me right now the Vikings will be a better bet than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I'm not buying that, Joe.
No. I mean, listen, again, you've got Baker Mayfield, who we all know is time to time is certainly going to throw the ball to the other team. But he also threw for over 4,500 yards last season. And it's not like this OC doesn't know him, because I believe he was the passing game coordinator last year with Liam Cohen. So I think this is all signs point up. I am buying the Tampa Bay Bucs here to not only and having Bucky Irving back as well. I think all of it lines up to 10-11 wins, and going to be real interesting here towards the end of the season to see where they might land in a postseason game and against two. And do we really want to come to Florida and play in that spot? I like Tampa's chances here.
You know what's interesting, Joe? Because we always talk about also how we bet the season and set it up. Like, we're telling you right now, we like the Buccaneers to win that division. The price point is going to be high to start the season because most people's expectations are they are going to win it. But hear me out on this, Joe. It might not be a bad idea. How about this? Lose to the Falcons, game number 1 on the road. It's always tough to win on the road, specifically in division. Lose game 2 to the Texans. Very good opponent. That's on the road. Beat the Jets at home. The Eagles then come to town and you lose to them. Now you're 1-3 at that point. Are we talking about maybe getting an awesome price on the Buccaneers, knowing nobody's going to run away with that division outside of Tampa Bay if they start the season 3-1? Do we just wait on the Buccaneers till week 4 or 5 and go, now's the time to press it when the price point might be way better than what you're getting now?
Yeah, it could, but again, they also could just run the table. This was one of the best red zone offenses and third down offenses last year. I don't think that changes.
Let's talk Falcons. Joe loves Kirk Cousins, but should he be on that roster? We'll find out next right here on the early line. I'm digging the Falcons a little bit this year. And if we take a look from an NFC South perspective, I do think they're the second best team in that division behind Tampa Bay. If they play good football and stay injury-free, they added some components to the defense. Maybe Raheem Morris catches a clue and learns how to coach on the sideline. This team might be able to do some damage. The talent is there where they can win this division. We just haven't seen it over the past couple of years actually work its way onto the field. They also made a major move just an off season ago to say, whoa, Kirk Cousins, welcome down, big contract in. By the way, we're going to draft your replacement right off the bat, which never made any sense. It still doesn't make any sense right now. Kirk Cousins is still on that roster, which doesn't make any sense now. So let me ask you this question, Joe, on a buy or sell. The Falcons need to get rid of Kirk Cousins off the roster by any means necessary?
Well, they can't. I mean, that's the problem because they're saddled with a 4-year, $180 million deal that didn't allow them to any wiggle room to add anything of value in the offseason here, Donnie. I mean, they went defense. They drafted defense this year in the NFL draft. But, you know, what you see is what you get here because you have a quarterback who's not even playing that has all of this salary cap issue going on with him. He is the ultimate safety net because you still have a young quarterback going into his sophomore year. You're still not sure, you know, is he any good? Is he not any good? The numbers were up and down last year. Kirk Cousins is the perfect safety net unless another team's quarterback gets hurt over the next couple of weeks, Donnie, and then the phone starts ringing. And then we'll see, and I'm sure somebody in the front office of Atlanta is going, well, if that happens, yeah, our asking price could be pretty good, and we might be able to get out from under this contract we gave him.
Yeah, you know what would have been better? Just don't sign Kirk Cousins. Draft Michael Penix Jr., have $50+ million to spend on a cornerback, another defensive end, another wide receiver, and what have you. So this organization, we always remember, Joe, right? Draft like, best case scenario here. If Michael Penix never plays, that means it was a great signing. I'm saying, like, what? Or if Kirk Cousins is so bad we paid him all that money, we have Michael Penix. What? Like, none of that made any sense, and you couldn't sell that to anybody, and here we are. But I think you're right about this. If there's one quarterback or one personality that can say, I'm getting all of this money, and I won't be a distraction, and I'll put my best foot forward every single day, it's Kirk Cousins. You tell most people that are expected starters in the NFL who were brought to town on a promise they would start and get paid a lot of money to do that, and then get shoved into the corner by saying, like, we'll just play it off as you're not healthy, and we know you tried to fight through your injury, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to play. Like, Kirk Cousins is that one guy. And if you are Raheem Morris, Michael Penix doesn't work out. Or week number 3, he goes down with a knee injury. Not like he hasn't gone down with a knee injury before in his career. He's been known to have injuries. That you could bring in Kirk Cousins and salvage your season and win football games and try to make the playoffs. That's not a bad option. They should have never signed Kirk Cousins, but now that they have him, they should have gotten rid of him here in the offseason. They couldn't do that. You're not just going to cut bait, eat that salary cap, get nothing back when you go, well, wait a second. We're 1-4. Michael Penix is playing poorly and injured. Oh, it would have been nice to have Kirk Cousins come in and try to right the ship for you. So for me, I don't think it. So I'll sell that. You can't get rid of him at all costs now. You should have been thinking about that in February, in March, in April, in May, and in June. It's too late now for me, Joe.
It's way too late. I mean, that ship has sailed. The minute that they made the change last year, that was it. And quite honestly, I don't blame Kirk Cousins for what happened there last year. I am not a big fan of Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator, in any way, shape, or form. I don't like his play calling. I don't like his offense. I don't think he put Kirk Cousins in a position to succeed or utilized what he's been really good at his entire career. So, yeah, I think they're in trouble here, Atlanta, especially on the defensive side. They spent, 3 or 4 draft picks right off the top on the defensive side, even in free agency. But they're going to play what? The AFC East, I believe, is on the schedule this year with them. They have a bye week 5. They're going to Berlin in week 9, and they're not coming out of that with a bye. They'll have already had it in week 5. So I don't like the coaching staff, and I don't like the way the schedule sets up for them.
It'll be interesting, too, because I always, there's 2 parts of the schedule we usually look at, right? Like, number one, you want to find out where the bye week is. We always understand that. But can we start fast? But if we need to close strong, can we do that? Like, oh man, I got 3 of the 4 games on the road against my toughest opponents. If we're fighting for a playoff spot, we're probably not going to make it. Game number 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is like, we think Tampa's going to win that division. That's a winnable game, though. At home, healthy, crowd's going to be loud. That's a tough environment to play in. On the road against Minnesota, we don't know what J.J. McCarthy is. Game number 3 at the Panthers. Yes, it's a road game in the division, but it's the Carolina Panthers, then home to the Washington Commanders, and then you get a bye week. Like, you have to figure you need to be at least 2-2 before you hit that bye and sort of have a takeoff. But also, let me ask you this. Is there a point in the season where Michael Penix, Joe, is not injured, but just not playing well, and they go to Kirk Cousins? That can't happen, right? That's never going to happen, is it?
Listen, a lot of this is going to depend on how many games are these teams winning. You know, and I know that the pressure is going to be on. If all of a sudden Penix is not getting it, he has that sophomore slump. We saw a sophomore slump last year, didn't we, in Houston with a young quarterback? Could very well happen here again. Only the difference is he is not surrounded, I think, on both sides of the ball or on the sidelines with the coaching staff like they are in Houston. So this could go from bad to worse, but if they're winning games, it won't really matter, right? If he's going to have his ups and downs, which, Donnie, how is he not going to have the ups and downs here? So, expect there to be some issues. They will have to be desperate to go to Kirk Cousins, which means they must feel at some point that going to Kirk Cousins gives them an opportunity to make the postseason.
Also understand this, too. We're not getting a blind look at him, right? Like J.J. McCarthy, we expect good things from him, but we haven't seen him play in the NFL, and you got to make those adjustments. Penix does have some game NFL action. Penix went through this entire offseason as the quote-unquote starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. So it's not as if he's just getting thrown in week number, like, oh, my goodness, we can't handle this. I've never seen this before. So he should be able to hit the ground running and find out how that plays out. But it is interesting. And kudos. You get paid to play a position. Kirk Cousins get paid a lot of money in the NFL and played his cards exactly correct. We'll see if he winds up elsewhere. You know what would be interesting? Like, Brock Purdy goes down for San Francisco and Kirk Cousins is healthy. There can be places to move him if that is available. More talk next. Buy or sell. We love these segments. Come on back with us. Those pesky Atlanta Falcons. But we talked about a couple teams so far here in the NFC South. We do think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are best seeded here to win another NFC South championship. And then you feel like the Atlanta Falcons might be on their toes. And then there's the other teams in that division, and we're going to start with the Saints. It's a proud franchise. It has a Super Bowl trophy. It has one of the more iconic venues in the sports landscape, being the Superdome. Caesars Superdome now is what it's called. The Super Bowl last year, the SportsGrid Network, we were down there. I got my first glimpse in the first time in my history seeing the Superdome, be like, man, this is where all those amazing games were played and how loud that place can be. A party city on a Thursday night, on a Sunday night, on a Monday night, in a playoff game, or to host a Super Bowl. It's a wonderful place. But the Saints are going to be going through some trying times right now. And I don't even know, Joe, if they got their franchise quarterback in the draft in Tyler Shuck. Like, is that going to be the guy that's going to lead them into the next millennium, if you will? But the question here is, it's not exactly will they win the Super Bowl? Can they win the division? Buy or sell Joe Ranieri, the Saints will be the worst team in the NFL this season.
Well, I don't necessarily blame them for the situation that they're in right now, because I'm fairly certain when Kellen Moore took the job that he thought Derek Carr was going to be his quarterback. And I guarantee you, Donnie, it would have been a much more competitive division had he not retired. But the minute he retired, I mean, there isn't a quarterback on this roster right now that won a game. Derek Carr was the only one that won a game. The quarterbacks currently on the roster that were there a year ago had more interceptions than they did touchdown passes. They've got a lot to look forward to in the future. The offensive line, a lot of very young guys that had a lot of experience last year. They are going to get their next quarterback, or try to get their next quarterback next year in the draft. But I don't see how this is going to work. 4.5 wins. Yeah, no, there is some turnover here. But like any other franchise, it comes a time. You'd have been good. You'd have been all right with Derek Carr. When he retired, it's all about looking to the future now for the New Orleans Saints.
The interesting part about this question is, it's like, will the Saints be the worst team in the NFL? I think if you're coming into the season, Joe, on paper, they are the worst team in the NFL, but you are judged by how many wins that you can get. And you might say, well, Donnie, what do you mean? They're 4.5 is their total. Like, how many can they have? But also the Cleveland Browns are listed at 4.5. That's a product of your environment. Like, look at the Saints, one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. They don't have a ton of talent, but they do have some talent. And also it's an easier schedule that they play. You look at the Cleveland Browns going like, yeah, we're 4.5, but Steelers in our division, Ravens in our division, Cincinnati. I mean, come on now. They're getting to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which are a good football team, not the best. Yeah, you're going to get to play the Atlanta Falcons. We think they could probably be over 500. The Carolina Panthers, who we don't know what they're going to be with Bryce Young at quarterback. So it's hard to answer that question, because if I say the worst team in the NFL just based on what I think is the eye test, I do think they're the worst team in the NFL. But based on the record at the end of the year, they might be able to get 5 wins, which probably won't be the worst team, Joe, in the NFL. Look at the New York Giants. Like, the Giants have talent. Their schedule looks like they might not even score a touchdown in any game they play, how hard it is. But the Giants would wipe the floor with the Saints, if you ask me.
I agree. And I mean, well, look at how the problem is the schedule does not favor them. I mean, look at that. You got 3 games against the NFC West, and then you got to go to Buffalo. Like, you got to go from Seattle, come home, and then you got to go to Buffalo. Not good here. I mean, they're staring 0-4 in the face here, Donnie. And then, you're going to have a division game, and there's no guarantee that you're going to win that one against Carolina anyway. So I think this could be a very, very rough year. Transition, right? Is that what they get said? Transitional year, I think is what they say it is, Donnie. Or tank, you can use that word too. But yes, wins are going to be hard to come by here for the Saints.
No, they certainly are going to become hard to come by for the Saints. Tyler Shough, I guess we always say this too. You get a rookie quarterback, what's the best that you hope for? The team probably stinks. You get a high draft pick, but the quarterback showed some promise, and Kellen Moore's a new coach. They'll build this thing together. That's what the hopes would be for the Saints right now, not to actually win football games. So like my Philadelphia 76ers so many years, just keep on tanking here. Eventually things you hope will get better. That win total 4.5 to become last in the division, a minus 130 price, miss the playoffs at a minus 1,600, make the playoffs at a plus 820. That lets you know exactly what we think about the New Orleans Saints. Not a lot of good things here. And again, an iconic franchise in an iconic city, not really going to have an iconic season unless they pull the Detroit Lions and go, hey, you know what? What's wrong with going 0-17 on the season? Maybe we get Arch Manning next year. Another Manning in the city of New Orleans, which happened, 40, 50 years ago with Arch. Going to come back there for Archie Manning? How about that, people? Hour number 2 is coming up next. More Buy or Sell Topics next. Another action-packed early line segment right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's on the right side. It's Joe Ranieri. It's what we do. We're breaking down the NFC South, having fun here, saying, can the Buccaneers win this division once again? Will they win this division? And also teams like the New Orleans Saints, who are probably going to stink this year. You never know, though. Teams always surprise on year-to-year basis, but I do think a huge surprise would be the New Orleans Saints. Like, hey, by the way, Joe, it's October 14th. The Saints are in first place in the NFC South. That's probably not something we're going to say. You know, what we will say is, hey, Tyler Shough looks pretty good, or they drafted Tyler Shough. Like, that's what it feels like for the Saints here in football. But hey, away we go. A new season's going to begin. Preseason week number 1. Everybody's underway, including the New Orleans Saints.
And ironically enough, the South divisions in both the NFC and the AFC are very top heavy, Donnie, are they not? Transitional year, they say. I don't know if there is a dark horse in either of those divisions, but if I was going to take a flyer outside of Tampa, I would think that maybe the one team that might overperform this year to expectations is Carolina.
Yeah, you know what? On the way up. Quarterback's there, more weapons in town. Chuba Hubbard and the boys, we get that, which brings us into our next buy or sell question. It does focus on the Carolina Panthers, and it's Bryce Young. If we look at his statistics, right, his odds, or should I say his numbers this year, prop bets, 3,200.5 passing yards. You say, that's not that much. And you take a look at what he's thrown for so far in the NFL, it's like, okay, that's an increase here. Passing touchdowns, 18.5. Most interceptions in the NFL, 25-1, which is a tough number to hit because you have to be bad and play the entire season. Not usually a combination that works out in your favor. MVP odds at 100-1. We don't think that's going to take place. But the buy or sell question for the Carolina Panthers mainly is on Bryce Young. Is he playing for his career as a starting quarterback? Now, I'm going to throw it over to you in a second. from my money here, looking at Bryce Young, you just have to continue to increase under Dave Canales. We don't have high expectations. At least I don't for the Carolina Panthers. But it's an unfair question because you're also saying to yourself, everybody really is playing for their career. Third year for Bryce Young, if we're not turning the corner winning 7 games, maybe he's not the quarterback of the future. So for me, I'm going to say bye. Yes, he is playing for his career because you're no longer a young quarterback in the NFL in year number 3. You don't perform well this year, you're probably done.
Well, last year was unique. First of all, Dave Canales took the job and he was hired there to do one thing and one thing only, and that was to fix Bryce Young. Because again, this ownership group didn't do this young quarterback any favors. And boy, you finally got the right coach in there. Now, what we saw last year is we went from Bryce Young to Andy Dalton back to Bryce Young, if you recall. I think he took back over in week 8. So the final 10 games that he was the quarterback, they went 4-6. He had 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He completed 62% of his passes. He ran for 223 yards and 37 carries. He had almost 7 yards per attempt. He looked so much better and more comfortable than we have ever seen him to this point in the NFL. I think they should have beat the Chiefs. They should have beat the Eagles down that stretch. They could have beaten the Bucs as well. So this was a very Chuba Hubbard running the ball was great. Xavier Legette was absolutely a monster. And Adam Thielen, too, where you could have made a lot of money in the prop betting market backing him each and every week, the unforgotten one there. The problem with this team was the defense. Can they, and they spent a lot of assets building up this defense this year. If the defense is more competitive, I think Bryce Young takes that next step. And yes, I think this team could surprise a lot in the win total.
By the way, you're right about that. Bring up one of those games where the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles, the Panthers stunk. But there was a pass that Bryce Young threw late in that ball game that should have been a touchdown that was dropped, and the Eagles probably lose that football game. But yet, the Spurs on, they end up winning the Super Bowl at that point. It shows how close on a week-to-week basis teams in the NFL can be. And Bryce Young's been around the block, not a rookie quarterback anymore, entering into his 3rd year. The expectations are he's going to at least deliver them a chance to play meaningful football games in December, not just absolutely playing a spoiler once we get to the month of December here. But other NFL notes throughout the landscape that we saw yesterday, some interesting doings here. And the sexy pick, as I always like to say, this NFL season is the Los Angeles Rams. And I always like to say in preseason camp, boy, if you're injured, a lot of times you stay injured. An aging quarterback with a lot of wear and tear, Matthew Stafford, getting epidurals now, back issues. Don't worry about it. Let's worry about it. My goodness. Like, if it's Jimmy G time, that's a downgrade for the Rams. But I didn't expect to hear about any of these issues coming from Matthew Stafford heading into the season.
Well, listen, he's always had some issues, health-wise there. But they did such a good job building up the offensive line and protecting him. They certainly did last year, but this is the risk that you run with a 37, 38-year-old quarterback, Donnie, and we know this, but you got to have faith in that coaching staff there. They got a lot of young guys on both sides of the ball, and I think they'll be fine, but they're going to take their time with him. They have proven defensively with all that young talent, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think they just signed Williams now. They locked him up there. I think they're going to be just fine. A lot is going to depend on Stafford, but I think they've been down this road with him before and they know exactly how to baby him along.
And by the way, off the field stuff in the NFL too, which is interesting. We've all seen over the past couple of years, like, ooh, what a great invention here from the NFL to actually come up with the red zone. Very lucrative, very profitable for them. They sell that entity off to ESPN. Now, from a red zone perspective, it's nice that the ticket is now on like YouTube, where it's not the dish where like only 2% of the country can actually get it. So that is viable. Like, as a handicapper in a sports bettor, like, I think the red zone is cool for like the casual fan. I'm not knocking it here. I'm just going to explain like my thought process. But now that we have the ticket open, I don't watch the red zone all that much because I don't care about it that fashion. If I can watch any game I want at the push of a button. But I got to tell you, but when there's just the dish days and a lot of people couldn't get that, the red zone was fantastic. If you're a fantasy football player, just casual, the red zone is fantastic. So the question to you, Joe, is not a buy or sell at this point. But the red zone going to ESPN, a lot of people saying, oh no, there's the death of the red zone.
scary situation there, but also paid a ton of money for it. So with that kind of price tag, they can do whatever they want. But you already know if they decide to change who the host of that show is, there might be a mutiny here because people like what they like. They don't like changes. They don't like all of a sudden showing up and going, wait, who is this? What's going on here? So you hope that, they just keep things status quo, because there's not a lot more I think you need to do with the red zone. I don't think it needs to be improved. It wasn't sold because it wasn't doing well. So if it ain't broke, ESPN, let's not try to fix it this year. That would be great.
Exactly. And how about this one coming in here? NFL bans smelling salts. George Kittle was upset that he uses smelling salts every single start of a new drive to go out there. What would be the reason for that? Is that warping your mind at this point? Is that an unfair advantage that you go, oh, now I'm ready to go. Boy, I'm awake right now. What's the reason for banning smelling salts? They've been around for decades.
Forever. So what happens? So when a guy gets knocked out, are we not allowed to bring him smelling salt now? Like, what is this? This is the most ridiculous thing. I have no idea why they would. Is it give somebody an edge? It only lasts like 10 seconds, Donnie. I don't understand what's going on here.
Yeah, there's some super powered like smelling salts out that I've seen, but I've never been all throughout my football career, never took smelling salts, never got knocked out, so I didn't need smelling salts to come back to life. But we've all smelled smelling salts, like, wow, like it really just blasts your brain quickly, like resets the track. They're going in the NFL.